Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha. Hey, Merry Christmas. This is a Christmas special coming right after the Thanksgiving special. So, again, shout out to Cousin Joe Sambuey. Christmas special. Oh, baby. Santa Claus is coming to town. Remember that time you ran into Santa Claus in the bathroom at the mall and he says he's going to give you that new GPS? And he said you had to give me your old one. He said you had to give Kirk your old GPS, for he is old and may get lost in the woods hunting skunk. So, anyway, like I've told that one before, but I still have the GPS and the Christmas special. Christmas. Oh, even here in little western Montana town, uh, Missoula, there's a house right down the street. I drive by it every night. I go in. It's in a cul-de-sac, and it's just huge. Lights up the whole end of the street. It's amazing. I'll have to get a picture of it, but even for a little town, it's just impressive, beautiful. Puts you in the Christmas spirit. And I tell you, I've talked before about Pampaw Gummel. He reminded us of Santa Claus. Short, fat guy, always happy, always smiling. And every time you saw him, he just, he had something with him. Every once in a while, Mama and Papa would come over, Sunday after church or something, just to visit, just to sit and visit and, eat cake and visit for a little while and then they'd leave. But most of the time, when they came over, Pampaw was bringing us fresh corn out of his garden, or fresh new potatoes, fresh green beans out of his garden. He's like Santa Claus. When you're 12, he gave you a new shotgun, and every opening day, September 1st for dove season, even before you got the new shotgun, we were using his shotguns. He'd bring you 10 boxes of shotgun shells. That's a lot of money when you're a little kid in Texas in the early 60s, middle 60s. And 10 boxes of shotgun shells, 5 high power, 5 field load. And every time you saw him, it was like, oh my gosh, there's Papa's Jeep, there's Papa's Ford LTD. It's going to be good. You're just always glad to see him. And I know we're glad to see a lot of our relatives, but this was just a perpetual thing. Get out of school, and not elementary, but yeah, elementary too, but junior high and high school, you get out of school and take off running, and there you see his red Jeep pickup truck out there, and he had your shotgun, he had your boots, and you're going dove hunting, or you're going deer hunting, you're going down to Hearn to go deer hunting. But oh gosh, we had fantastic Christmas. We would have Christmas at Mama and Pampaw's house, or Uncle Eddie's, or my parents, or the Sublets. But it was 2 turkeys and all the trimmings, everybody, and you just sat around, had a blast, opened presents. But like I say, Pampaw Gumbel and MAMAW, I found out later MAMAW did a lot of this. She was the instigator, and go buy our children a new car. Well, they bought Aunt Lorraine a new car. They bought Mom a new car, and Uncle Eddie was already a millionaire, so they gave him a silk suit, white silk suit, something he probably wouldn't buy for himself. But that's just the way they were. When they came back from Europe, I think I mentioned this already, they brought everybody Omega watches. And, we just had a blast. But Papa was like, he was like, he was like Santa Claus. It's like, we're going to the coast. We're leaving tomorrow. Get your bag packed. In summertime, you just had to be ready. Boom, you're gone for 4 days, 3, 4 days down the Gulf of Mexico fishing. But Pampaw Gummel, they had a deer lease down at Lakey, Texas, on Ryan's Ranch, and they had turkeys, javelina hogs, big old blue quail, rattlesnakes, big South Texas white-tailed deer, and they just had a field day. They go down there and they would shoot, 2 or 3 deer, 2 or 3 javelinas, a couple of turkeys, and Mamaw, like I said before, she really didn't care about hunting or fishing, but she would go sometimes because Pampaw wanted her with him. And so they lived in a big old tent down there one time. They had a big old wooden barrel with some slats knocked out of it out in this tank where they catch all these fish. and they just throw them in this barrel, had a lid on it, and it was like a live well in there. They were in this wooden barrel in fresh water, and when they wanted fish, they'd go out there and pull a couple of fish out of that barrel, cook them up, fry them up. They're eating quail, they're eating, whatever, and shooting these big deer and javelina hogs and peccaries, they call them. Little, man, they're tough. They're little snapping jaws. But anyway, one time, Mamaw and Pampaw told me this story in the kitchen at their house, and Mamaw's in the tent cooking Dutch fried potatoes. Got a big old butcher knife cutting up potatoes. And so Pampaw goes out to that barrel to get a couple of fish, to clean them. And he looks in there and there's a big old black eel in that barrel. And so he kills it, grabs that eel. He knows Mamaw doesn't like snakes. And so he goes and has that big black eel, that's, probably a foot and a half long, has it behind his back. And he walks in and pulls the tent flap further back, and he says, "Olga," this is Mamaw's name, Olga. And she turned around and said, "Yes." And he held that snake out like that, and Mamaw just threw that butcher knife right at his head. And he ducked, and it went out the tent. And I was sitting there telling the story. I said, "Mamaw, you could have killed Pampaw." She said, "Oh, I was trying to. He knows better than to ever come up and put a snake on me like that." I said, "My gosh, you." She says, "Oh, I was trying to." But thank God she missed him. I'd have never been born, So that was a long time ago. But that Ryan Ranch down there in Lakey, Texas, they had these turkeys, and Ryan, the rancher, he told them never shoot those turkeys off the roost because then they'll move. And Pampaw and Fulbert and all those guys would go down there, and they'd follow those turkeys to the roost, and they'd shoot one off the roost. It's usually late, and they'd grab that turkey and run for camp because they said Rancher Ryan, he'd be wearing tennis shoes, he'd be running trying to catch them. But anyway, he lost that deer lease, got off that deer lease a long, long time ago, and then I don't know, Pampaw was older, and Uncle Charlie still had access to that lease. I'm pretty sure, I'll have to ask Pat, but I'm pretty sure Uncle Charlie had access to that lease still years later, and Pampaw was older, and his trick knee was bothering him a lot, so he wasn't getting around as good. But Uncle Charlie took him down there to Lakey, Texas, to that hot spot, and they got out there and got after some turkeys. And Pampaw had 4 truck stops, but he was a German farmer at heart. They did their own hog killing and all that. And so he got out there with his 12 gauge, and he saw 3 button toms, had little bitty beards, about an inch and a half long, young'uns. And he saw 3 of them. And he says, "Oh man," he said, "I tried to line up all 3 of their heads and get all 3 of them in one shot." But he said the third one wouldn't line up. So I took 2. Bam! He blasted 2 of them and just bowled them over. And when he came back to Waco, he told me the story. And, it's just like, oh my gosh, I got the 2 beards off those little Jake gobblers and put them on a plaque and put a little engraving on there from, I don't know, one of the taxidermists or somebody engraved it, 2 gobblers killed by Ed Gummelt and da-da-da. But, it's just, Pampaw Gummelt, man, he was like Santa Claus to us. Every time you saw him coming, Mamaw would tell him, go get them boys a gun. Go buy them boys some watches. And like I said, Mom told me years later that Mamaw instigated most of that. Said Pampaw was a very giving person, but he just wouldn't think to do that. Mamaw would say, go buy each one of them boys a shotgun when they're 12 so they don't have to borrow yours. So we had a lot of fun times, and it just, like he told me, every day you spend hunting and fishing doesn't count against the total number of days in your life. It's a free day. It's so good for us. So I got to get out. I got to get out hunting and go camping, go sit in the woods, go sit on a stump and just sit there for 15 minutes, and everything comes back out. All the birds and the squirrels and everything that froze when you were walking through the woods after about 15 minutes sitting on that stump, not moving much, it all comes out. And you just sit there and watch it all. It's good for our souls. So, Christmas time, remember the season, Jesus Christ, the atonement. He's given us all eternal life because he came down here and sacrificed himself. So, it's fun to be with family and friends, enjoy Christmas. Life's good. Everybody needs to hold your loved ones close. See if I can turn this off with these shades on. All right. Everybody, happy, happy, happy. Adios.